At the beginning of the film, a girl named Nellie Brown is seen being interrogated because she is suffering from amnesia. As a result, Nellie is sent to an island called Blackwell to be placed in a mental hospital and undergo treatment. There, the patients, including Nellie, are guided by a handsome doctor named Josiah. When Nellie is being escorted to her room, she sees New York City across the island and tells Josiah that she lives there. However, since Nellie's memory has not fully recovered, Josiah does not allow her to leave. It is important to note that the mental hospital where Nellie is staying is managed by an elderly woman named Grady. As the story progresses, Josiah notices that the iron shackles on Nellie's ankles are too tight and asks Grady to loosen them. Instead of following Josiah's request, Grady refuses, claiming that she is too tired. Unable to bear seeing Nellie in pain, Josiah insists that Grady hand over the key so he can loosen the shackles himself. Shortly after, a nurse arrives and takes Nellie to bathe with the other patients. That day, several new patients arrive, including a woman named Lottie. Strangely, the way the nurses treat the patients during the bath suggests they lack any compassion. During mealtime, Lottie notices a rocking chair and tells Nellie that it looks like the one in her home. However, when Lottie tries to sit on it, Nellie immediately stops her, warning that Grady would be furious if anyone used the chair. It is revealed that Lottie shares a similar condition with Nellie. Both suffer from amnesia. However, unlike Nellie, Lottie still remembers that she has a baby named George. As time passes, a stark contrast between the nurses and the patients becomes evident. The nurses, especially Grady, are allowed to eat luxurious and healthy meals, while the patients are only given porridge made from brown rice. Feeling unfairly treated, Lottie tells Nellie and some of the other patients that she comes from an influential family in her region. She claims that her husband or relatives will come to take her away soon. Because of this, Lottie refuses to eat the food provided to the patients. That night, Lottie, overwhelmed with longing for her baby, sat sadly in Nellie's lap. Seizing the moment, Nellie asked Lottie if they had met before. Lottie tried to recall Nellie's face, but unfortunately she realized this was their first encounter. A few hours later, in Josiah's office, Nellie recounted in detail how she and the other patients were bathed, fed, and had their feet shackled in an inhumane manner by the nurses. She tried to convince Josiah that Grady was a cruel person, but due to a lack of evidence, Josiah did not immediately believe her. However, he promised to secretly investigate Grady's cruelty and even offered to help Nellie regain her true identity. Slowly, Nellie began to recall a moment where she was reading a letter in a room. However, when Josiah urged her to imagine it more deeply, Nellie admitted that was all she could remember. Meanwhile, Josiah noticed that Nellie's ankle shackles were still too tight and used a secret key to loosen them. As part of his healing approach, he often encouraged patients to engage in their hobbies. This time he accompanied Nellie, who enjoyed playing baseball. While playing, they exchanged personal stories, and Josiah revealed that he was married and had a child. Suddenly, Nellie, remembering Lottie, asked Josiah to help her sit in the rocking chair, hoping it would trigger her memories. Nellie also asked Josiah to allow the patients to use the chair freely. Josiah agreed, stating that, in theory, patients should have access to all hospital facilities, but this hospital was strangely different. At last, Lottie sat in the rocking chair, feeling immense joy. She even began to recall memories of her child. However, before she could fully remember everything, other patients, seeing her reaction, rushed to Josiah, begging him to let them use the chair too. Unfortunately, a nurse who witnessed the scene quickly left and reported it to Grady. Not long after, Grady emerged from her office, and at that moment, Nellie secretly slipped inside, searching for any of her belongings that Grady might have hidden. Meanwhile, facing Josiah and the patients, Grady sternly warned them never to sit in the chair again. She claimed that allowing patients to use the rocking chair could lead to chaos and accidents. Her reasoning seemed absurd, making it clear she was hiding something. Ultimately, because of their disobedience, all the patients were taken away for punishment. Josiah, powerless to stop it, could only leave with a bitter, resentful gaze. On the other hand, and quite surprisingly, Nellie's suspicion turned out to be correct. One of her belongings had indeed been hidden by Grady. It was a notebook. The moment Nellie touched it, memories of past events she had previously forgotten came rushing back. However, before she could process them further, she was caught by a nurse who already knew her. The nurse, named Fenton, unexpectedly chose to help Nellie. She even went as far as hiding her when Grady entered the room. Grady, noticing the mess on her desk, grew slightly suspicious, but luckily she dismissed it and left to meet an important guest outside. Shortly after, Nellie discreetly handed over a baby cloth belonging to Lottie, which she had found in Grady's room. She knew it was Lottie's because almost every item stored in Grady's room had a label with its owner's name. Holding onto the notebook, Nellie hurriedly brought it to Josiah, explaining that Grady had been deliberately hiding patients' personal belongings. However, Josiah once again disapproved of Nellie's actions, considering it theft. Despite Josiah's disapproval, Nellie insisted that the notebook might help her uncover her true identity. However, for her own good, Josiah had no choice but to order her to return it. The next day, while Grady was giving her usual instructions, Nellie accidentally noticed Lottie holding the baby cloth. She became anxious, fearing that if Grady saw it, she would realize Nellie had snuck into her room. As expected, one of the patients, who was fond of the cloth, intentionally took it from Lottie. This caught Grady's attention, and she immediately rushed to punish Lottie. Knowing Lottie wasn't at fault, Nellie had no choice but to confess. As a result, she was taken to the basement as punishment. Just like the other patients, she was made to suffer so she would learn her lesson and refrain from breaking the rules again. Grady's cruel punishment involved inserting leeches into Nellie's private parts, leaving her feeling weak and drained, as though all life had been sucked out of her.
Is simply a remedy.
Feeling sorry for Nellie, Fenton secretly helped her walk. As they moved, Nellie once again caught a glimpse of New York City, filling her with an overwhelming desire to go home. A deep sadness settled in her heart. The next day, Josiah saw Nellie in a fragile state and immediately approached her to ask what had happened. Fearing more punishment, Nellie simply replied that she was just tired. Later, as Fenton encouraged her to eat, Nellie asked if she ever went home to visit her family. Fenton admitted that she rarely did, but when she missed them, she would hitch a ride with her brother, who was a fisherman. On the other hand, due to Grady's actions and the nurse's furious response, Lottie's demeanor drastically changed. She now appeared disoriented, as if she had lost touch with reality. It was as if she no longer cared about anything, almost as though she had gone mad. Feeling sorry for her friend, Nellie improvised by encouraging the other patients to sing together, a form of protest against Grady's cruel rules. However, their rebellion only led to a harsh punishment. All the patients were gathered and had their heads shaved completely. The reason given was that their heads were infested with lice. When it was Nellie's turn, Josiah suddenly intervened, stopping the procedure. Acting like a hero, he confronted Grady, leading to a heated argument. Grady accused Josiah of having feelings for Nellie, but Josiah ignored her, focusing instead on logic. He argued that if the patients truly had lice, there was no need to shave their heads. Applying kerosene should be enough. Strangely, Grady agreed with Josiah's suggestion. One by one, the patients were gathered again, but instead of being shaved, they were doused in kerosene. At first, everything seemed to be going smoothly, until Lottie suddenly grabbed the smoking pipe from Grady's mouth. When Grady tried to take it back, Lottie declared that she was fed up with everything and, in a desperate act, rushed to end her own life. Grady, instead of allowing anyone to help Lottie, forbade Nellie and the other patients from intervening. Sometime later, Nellie remembered Fenton mentioning that she had a fisherman brother. Realizing this could be her way out, Nellie approached Fenton and pleaded for help escaping from Blackwell Island. Feeling pity for Nellie's suffering, Fenton finally agreed to assist her. Meanwhile, Josiah was visited by a man named Driscoll, who was searching for his missing fiancée. Driscoll's fiancée was named Nellie Bly, a name strikingly similar to Nellie Brown. Not only that, but the physical description Driscoll provided matched Nellie exactly. However, instead of reuniting them, Josiah, who secretly harbored feelings for Nellie, lied. He told Driscoll that no such woman existed at the hospital and sent him away. By chance, while performing her duties, Nellie happened to look out the window and spotted Driscoll. At that moment, memories flooded back. She realized that he truly was her beloved. Unfortunately, just as she tried to run after him, she was caught. Certain that she had just seen the love of her life, Nellie rushed to Josiah, explaining in detail that Driscoll was the man she loved. She was sure of it, because when she looked into his face, her most cherished memories returned. But as expected, Josiah, unwilling to let Nellie remember Driscoll, lied once again. He told her that Driscoll was merely his colleague and had no connection to her. Determined to keep her from regaining her past, Josiah then tried his best to seduce her. As the day changed once again, Grady held a grand party. Still determined to win Nellie's love, Josiah refused to give up and invited her to dance. It was shameless. Despite having a wife and child, he continued his pursuit. However, their dance was soon interrupted by Fenton, who told Josiah that Grady wanted to see him. Seizing the opportunity, Fenton quickly took Nellie away, seemingly to help her escape. But when they reached the shore, it was revealed to be a trap. Fenton had betrayed Nellie in hopes of gaining Grady's favor. As a result, Nellie was dragged back to the asylum to face punishment. Meanwhile, Grady pressured Josiah to sign a document that would grant her full control over Nellie's treatment. If Josiah signed it, Grady would be free to do whatever she pleased with Nellie. Just as Josiah was about to sign, Nellie suddenly regained all her memories. She remembered her true identity. She was the renowned investigative journalist Nellie Bly, working for the New York World to uncover the horrors of Blackwell's asylum. Fortunately, before undergoing the punishment that could have erased her memories once more, Nellie managed to send a letter to Driscoll revealing the truth. Upon receiving it, Driscoll rushed to the asylum, furiously confronting the nurses and Josiah. Seeing Nellie's desperate situation, Fenton, now guilt-ridden, finally decided to help. He informed Driscoll and Josiah that Nellie was being held in the basement and was about to undergo a procedure that would erase her memories forever. In a shocking revelation, it was discovered that most of the asylum's patients were not actually insane. Many were homeless individuals or beggars, forcefully taken by special officers. Upon arrival, they were immediately labeled as mad. Secretly, they were subjected to brainwashing treatments, conducted on the very rocking chair that had been forbidden. This explained why patients were not allowed to sit on it. If they did, they might recall the reason they lost their memories in the first place. Rushing to the basement, Driscoll and Josiah found Nellie submerged in water as part of Grady's cruel method. Without hesitation, they pulled her out, saving her from drowning. Thanks to her bravery and sacrifice, Nellie Bly's name shone brighter than ever. She successfully exposed the horrific truth behind Blackwell's asylum. The authorities, acting swiftly upon receiving her report, finally arrested Grady and the other nurses responsible. This film is based on the real-life experiences of Nellie Bly, an American investigative journalist famous for her undercover report on women's lunatic asylum at Blackwell's Island. During her 10 days of confinement, she exposed the inhumane treatment of patients, including rotten food, ice-cold baths, and both physical and psychological abuse. Her groundbreaking report, published in the New York World under the series 10 Days in a Madhouse. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.